Hi everybody, I'm back again with another video. I know it's been a little while, but again I've been quite busy. So what I thought I'd do this time is give you a couple of unboxings. These are two games that arrived in the post the other day. They've been out quite a long time actually. It's by Fantasy Flight Games. We have Cave Troll and Drakon. They both have miniatures and they're great little games. If you're going to have a games night, they're really quick games to play. Normally, depending on your skill level, half an hour to 45 minutes to play each one, and it's a great little starter game to sort of pick up. So what we'll do is we'll open up both boxes and see what we have inside. So I think first of all we'll start with Cave Troll. Okay, so here I have everything out of the box for Cave Troll. So the first thing we'll take a look at is the instruction booklet. Very small. Not a lot of instructions. It's very easy to play. Basically this is a strategic placement game. The idea of the game is to be the person at the end with the most coins. Let's see, it's sort of fairly nicely sort of laid out. Very easy to follow, doesn't take a lot of learning. It gives you all the abilities of your classes of hero. So nothing spectacular with the instruction booklet. There's two types of way you can play the game. You've got the classic game, and then you have variant game, which is for slightly more experienced players. This gives you a rundown of all your classes of heroes. And the rules are slightly different for the variant game. So you have different, each card has got like a different colour background, and that's the one that that player has, because you've got four different colours. You've got green, yellow, blue and red, so you can distribute these out to those players. So it's a 2 to 4 player game. You've got your little counters here that you use to go around the points around the side of the board, and you also get quite a few cards. I think this is about the third release of this game, and they just keep adding a little bit more to it each time. So I'll try and get the glare off the cards here. They're very small cards, which you come to expect with Fantasy Flight games, but they're not nicely painted. There's some nice artwork on them, and it's all coloured as well. We get so many games nowadays where you get all the cards and they're just sort of black and white picture, but they've actually put a bit of effort in here. So you draw different cards, gives you different things that you can do, and you can play these on other players, I believe. It's been a little while since I played it. And you get monsters do appear from time to time in the game to sort of thwart you. But as you can see, again, you've got the colour backgrounds for the different players, so you've got your own set of cards. I believe they are all the same sort of cards, just with the different colours. So you get 2 packs of those. Again, red, yellow, blue and green. All pretty much standard fare. And the back of the cards are different. So these are like items. These ones here are your troll cards and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the cards, because I suppose it's the miniatures you really want to have a look at, which we'll come on to in a minute. But this is the board. So you can see you've got all different rooms, different gold values in each room, represented by the gold coins. So obviously if you finish up in that room, so this room for instance, you'll get 5 gold, so you can move 5 along the track. You've got 1, 2, but everybody's going to be fighting for the bigger rooms. So you need to plan out your strategies and sort of distribute your characters evenly around the board to help protect the areas that you're in from the other players. So it's quite a It's not really a big board, it fits on a table quite nicely, so there's nothing too drastic for a room. And now we'll come on to the sets of characters. I've picked out the green ones because they're a bit easier to pick up with the camera, but you say you get 4 colours, as I mentioned before: green, yellow, blue and red. So hopefully I'll be able to match them up. They're very, very small, a lot smaller than you would normally get with games, so I suppose you could paint them if you've got a very small brush, but for this sort of game I think it's best to keep them unpainted so you can see who's who, unless you leave the bases a certain colour so you can distinguish. So this, I believe, is the dwarf, which is this guy here. They're not badly detailed for the size. Next one up here, this is the adventurer. Get quite a few miniatures for each player. This is the wraith. Next up we have, if I can find them, this is the thief. So nothing spectacular with these minis, but they're not bad. Next up we have, I believe this is the barbarian. Shame these miniatures weren't a bit bigger. Then we have, this is the orc. I'm not 100% sure, but I think with this release, I think this is the 3rd release of the game, I think they've added a couple of more miniatures. Correct me if I'm wrong if anybody's got the original game, but it looks like they have added a couple of more different types of monster. This one here is the knight, I believe. They all have different abilities, enable you to help protect your rooms that you're in, or some of them enable you to double the amount of gold that you find in that room. So with the dwarf, if you land in a room with 5 gold pieces, you're going to get 10, so it's quite powerful. This is your treasure chest. I suppose this you could use with any D&D game, this little piece, so it's big enough. And finally, the main guy himself, the cave troll. This is the biggest miniature. So I'll give you a quick look at the cards so you can see what their abilities are. The hero doesn't have any, the adventurer doesn't have any ability, which is why you've got several of these miniatures. The knight, I won't read it out, I'll just leave it there, pause it so you can have a read. There's the dwarf. As I said, he doubles the gold. Barbarian. There's the thief. Here's your treasure chest. Cave troll. The wraith. And finally the orc. So that's the classic game. I think this is one of the new things for this release of the game, is the variant game. You've got a rampaging troll here, adventurer, paladins, they've all got different names now, grunt, giant slayer, banshee, berserker, treasure chest stays the same, and assassin. So just a few little changes for the variant game. But yeah, as I say, it's a great little game to start off a gaming night. If you want to get people sort of into the mood of playing games, it's a good fun game. It's a lot of strategy involved for placing your pieces on the board, and it can get a little bit cutthroat as the game progresses. But I say, yeah, great fun game to play. Very easy to pick up and play, and great for younger players as well. And it also teaches them strategy, basically. They have to think what they're doing in order to get the gold that they want. I mean, it's not always a good idea to go for the big rooms, which is what a lot of players tend to do. It's always a better idea to go for the 2s and the 3s to build up your money a lot more, because less people will go for those sort of rooms. But yeah, that's Cave Troll. So I'll put a little pause in here, and when we come back we'll take a look at Drakon. Okay, here we go with Drakon. I've taken all the pieces out. As with most Fantasy Flight games, you get nice little inserts like this. Take up a lot of room, but you get little inserts and nice little sort of artwork on the inner box. So again, this is another game that's been re-released. It's like a version 2.0 or something like that. I don't know how many times it's been re-released, but this one's been updated a little bit more. So this is your instruction booklet. Again, very quick, easy game to play, this one. It virtually explains itself as you're playing it. You don't really need the rules. All you need is to keep this handy, because, as I'll show you in a minute, basically that's it. That's all you need to know. But each tile that you place down has got a symbol on it. So this is the only thing that you need to refer to when placing your symbols, so you know what each room does. So you need to keep this handy. And there's just a quick reference at the back. So again, very small, very easy to understand. You get your tiles. These are all punch outs. So when you play the game, I think it's a 2 to 6 player game. Each player has 4 of these to start with, and you place them down. It's like a placement game again. You've got arrows to say which way you can move. You can't put 2 arrows together, so you can't put this one facing this one, for instance, because it blocks them off. You can't. You have to follow the arrows, and you have to follow your way around. But as you can see, each room has a different symbol in it, and again you have to refer back to the instruction book to see what each of these symbols does. But there's quite a few tiles. And the object of this game is Drakon, which is the dragon, has captured the adventurers who are in her lair trying to steal her gold, and rather than kill them all, she decided to play a little game with them. She said that one of the players who can get 10 gold will be able to leave the dungeon, and the others will be eaten. So the whole point of this game is to be the first player to score 10. So you get quite a few of these layouts of the dungeon, and these are your gold coins ranging from 1 to 3. You keep that separate, hidden from the other players. You don't want them to see how much you scored. So I think there's trying to think how many actual tiles there are. Just read the back. 72 chamber tiles, so you've got 72 of these. So you can get quite a big board if you play it with all 72, but I doubt you'll ever get that far before you win the game. And each player gets to control Drakon itself. Here are, I think these are reference cards. Let's just get down a little bit lower. These are reference cards for easy sort of check-in for what happens in the game. So each player gets one of these. And there's the reference on the back to show you what each tile does. So you get 6 of them because there's 6 players. Each player gets character card. Got the actual picture of the character on the back. So you've got the thief here with his abilities. Next up you have the sorceress, Then you have the Ranger, the Knight, the Fighter, which is basically a dwarf, and the Elf character, if it focuses, which is a Druid. Now I believe for this release, this newer release, these are new. I don't think these were in the original game, and I think I read somewhere that the actual miniatures didn't come with the game as well. You had tokens, but again, if somebody has the original release of this, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So we'll take a look at the miniatures. Again, these are very small but nicely detailed. They're slightly bigger than the miniatures you get in Cave Troll, but not by much. You could paint these again, but here we have the Knight. I probably might attempt to paint these at some point. Here's the Druid. Sorry, the light on my camera's gone off because it's getting quite hot, which is a safety function with my camera. But you can just pick them out. So the detailing is pretty good. This is... who's this? This is the Thief. Shovel in his hand. Don't really see that very often in miniatures. Here we have the Sorceress. Just trying to get it in the lights from the window here. That needs to be bent up a bit. But yeah, pretty good detailing on them for the size of the miniature. Here we have the Ranger. And finally, for the hero miniatures, we have the Fighter, with his beer in his hand. Always handy to go into a big fight pissed, I believe, because then you won't feel much pain. And finally, for the miniatures, we have Drakon herself. This one shouldn't be too hard to paint. It's a fairly decent size, really. So yeah, there you go. That's Drakon. I'll just put another pause in here, put one of the boxes, and just give you my final thoughts on these games. Okay, final thoughts. As I mentioned earlier in the video, for a starter game on a games night, or for getting people into board games without the game dragging on for hours and hours and hours, these two games are brilliant. They introduce people to miniatures, although they're not the best sort of miniatures to really introduce people into miniature based games. It's a start. I just think they're great games to sort of pick up and play. You don't really need to read the instructions that much. You can pretty much it pretty much says on the cards that you have in your hand what you can do, so it's not too taxing. I'll show you the back of the boxes. Shows you all the contents. Both these games are by the same designer, which is Tom Jolly. They are readily available. They're quite cheap. I think I paid about 18-19 quid for each of these, which isn't too bad by today's standards, considering a lot of board games now are ranging from minimum of £40 up to ridiculous prices of about 75-80 quid for the Games Workshop games that have been released now. But yeah, two good fun games, not too taxing, not boring, and a great starter for anybody who wants to get into board games, really. The next video I'm going to be doing on this channel, hopefully, fingers crossed, is going to be my Zombicide Black Plague Kickstarter stuff. It hasn't arrived yet. I've noticed on the internet that people all over the world have been getting theirs for the last week and a half. Mine still hasn't arrived, so I'm assuming it's still stuck over in Germany somewhere. So fingers crossed that will arrive this week, and hopefully if it does, at the weekend, because it's Monday here at the moment in the UK, so possibly if I get it this week, at the weekend I will do some unboxings of all of those miniatures and stuff for that. So stay tuned. And then I've got a week off in July, so hopefully I would be able to do a couple of playthroughs of some games, because I haven't done hardly any playthroughs on my channel just lately. So yeah, that's what's coming up. I hope this video sort of helped you decide whether you want to buy these two games or not. I haven't seen many videos on these games being unboxed on YouTube, so I thought I'd put my 2 pennies worth in. So until my next video, as always, thanks for watching, take care, and see you on the next video.